Dr. Frankenstein is on the phone, I say, in a slightly nervous voice. Hello? In a concerned voice, he says, Hey, are you two okay? I say, Yes, we are. Fine. He then explains that Janssen-Bourne Corp sabotaged everything, and he knew the hotel well. And Dr. Frankenstein explained he knew of the trapdoor in the catacombs underneath the building from his job as a medical professional there when he was younger. I say, okay, we were wondering how you knew of that trapdoor. It was so convenient how you were there at the right place at the right time. He then asks if we have seen anything strange. I explain, we saw AI people, and one floated into the house after knocking on the door. Silence, pure silence, over the line, and then he says, we aren't safe at our house, and he invited us to stay at his laboratory castle. I have skepticism of this, considering the new information, but this AI situation is getting out of hand, and chaos is rousing in the city. If he is behind this, we can expose him. So we get in our car and drive. We see more AI shadows standing and bending over as if they were high on fentanyl in the streets, and the place is getting out of control. There is no traffic, oddly, because we pass through AI cars. We see the laboratory in the distance up the hill. A stoned castle we pull up to, and the car creaks and stops. We hear a strange man's voice say, Who goes there? Over the intercom. And we explain who we are and about our call with the doctor. He says, Oh yes, come in. We then look ahead and see the metal gate open. Electronically. We drive up and get out with our bags. The door quietly opens as we walk up, and we are greeted by a handsome Dr. Frankenstein with his white lab coat. He says, Greetings, come in. The interior is very much like medieval Germany. There are shields on the walls, and swords, and many chairs and tables of Victorian style era, similar to our house, but with modern tech and computers. Ours does as well because of the time period. He walks a little ahead while we follow during this tour. He then, not facing us, says, I'm sure they told you already. I was behind all of this AI mess. We stop, dead in our tracks, and we both said yes. He then says, It is half true and half false. My great-grandfather played with fire, and the world saw things they were never supposed to see. And as you can see, the AI experiment was a failure, but just know, everything in my writings were stolen before I could ever implement this chaos myself. We gasp and now realize that someone else did this, as we hear creaking of the castle from the winds. He then says there was a flying saucer, a bright blue one, staring at him every time after dark. During the twilight in the east, it would rise up and just float there. I knew it was them, he says. He further says, one night, I thought a tornado was hitting my neck of the woods. But I saw outside no storms, just stars. I then noticed a bright red light coming from my library, where the computer hard drivers are. I heard strange talking of a foreign language never heard before. I certainly haven't myself, and I've studied so many languages. This was not from this planet or this dimension. I go in and I see the aliens taking everything, all the records, even unto the famous Dr. Frankenstein, and then took everything. My theory is the aliens are doing this to start an alien invasion without fighting us directly. We are just shocked. We are very skeptical of this and take this with a grain of salt, but we have noticed right before this occurrence, alien sightings were all over social media globally. My girlfriend says, "What's the plan?" and gets rudely interrupted by a small man coming from behind us, also slightly startling us and telling us the doctor's package has arrived. Then he apologizes for the interruption. He explains that it is his assistant. She continues to ask about the plan. He explains, answering her question, we have to give people a new antidote from scratch because the other one was compromised, as you obviously can see from the incident at the hotel. He would need our help because this would be a triune effort. To be continued.